Awkward was the only way to describe the atmosphere that was at the training fields, and Team 7 was training. Sakura and Naruto had hazarded a guess that something must have gone on between Kakashi and Sasuke by the way they were acting towards each other. It had been a week since Kakashi and Sasuke had a passionate makeout, and once the alcohol had left their systems they had been avoiding each other wordlessly for a little over a week now. Sasuke took every opportunity to be away from home, going to train with Miko and her team or just wandering around the neighborhood. Kakashi wasn't much better. He seemed always tired, going off for random checkups to avoid the two of them being alone together. They both knew their relationship had been forever changed by that moment, but they both didn't know how to deal with that. Kakashi had healed enough that he could watch over them as they trained, and he read a novel on the sidelines. This new novel had been a gift that he had found yesterday outside his room, and he knew it was from Sasuke. Naruto, what do you think is going on between Sasuke and Sensei? Sakura asked as they were a little ways away from Kakashi and Sasuke had gone off to get some water. I don't know, it's weird. Did you see how they were walking with us here? Sakura knew what he meant. Normally when walking or even on a mission, Sasuke and Sakura always walked flanking Kakashi with Naruto in front, but today Sasuke had been walking way out in front away from the team, and Kakashi had made no sign that he noticed. Do you think they're mad at each other or something? She asked, glancing over at Kakashi, who quickly met her glare before returning to his novel. That dumb probably did something. Sakura was about to punch him but saw Sasuke had made his way back over to them. So gossiping instead of training, he said in a low tone with a smirk on his face. As soon as Naruto opened his mouth that their training would be over, and the two started the round of shouting with Sakura jumping and trying to maintain peace. Kakashi had been glancing over at Sasuke the entire time, and maybe for the entire week. This was unknown territory for him, and he guessed as much for Sasuke, but ever since his hands had roamed freely over Sasuke's body, it had cemented in him how Sasuke now looked. He had been wanting to broach the topic with Sasuke for a while and was waiting for the courage to do so, but Sasuke's gift yesterday had given him the final push that he needed. He was the older of the two ninjas, so he probably guessed Sasuke was waiting on him to do something, even though usually the Uchiha wouldn't have cared. He loudly shut his novel, gaining the attention of his three students. Come on, cowards are scum, he thought to himself as he walked over to the three frozen genins. That's enough for today, go get some rest and decompress. And don't forget to stretch. Naruto was already bolting away mid-sentence. Thanks, Sensei, he said, running even though he had been complaining that he was tired a while ago. Sakura let out a huff and went over to hug Sasuke, who just looked at her annoyed. See you tomorrow, Sasuke. She was now much shorter than he was, only reach around his waist. Yeah, get it over with. And after that Sakura gave a wave at Kakashi before walking off. It was now Sasuke and Kakashi in the field, standing in front of each other, and the air was starting to tense. Miko said she needs help with training, so Sasuke said, turning away before he was halted by a hand on his wrist and turned around to see Kakashi holding him. The white-haired Jonin looked around before looking into Sasuke's eyes for the first time since that day. Unless you want Sakura and Naruto as spectators, meet me at the other training field. You know which? Sasuke wanted to ask why, but before he could, a white puff of smoke erupted and Kakashi was gone. He knew which training field Kakashi meant, the one he had been going to for the past week or so, sometimes alone and at times with Miko and the other genins. So you've been watching. Sasuke didn't know why, but that thought made him give off a slight smile that quickly faded before he grasped the other part of Kakashi's words. He turned around, looking around, and saw nothing but just shouted Baka and the Dobi, because he now knew they were there. They didn't come out, but he didn't waste time, as he suspected Kakashi was probably already waiting for him. With one final glance around, he dropped the smoke bomb and quickly disappeared as the smoke started to clear. Sakura and Naruto ran out of their hiding spots. Damn it, Naruto. I told you it was too obviously, she said silently, shouting before decking him on the head. Not my fault, forehead, he said, rubbing his now sore head as he turned to walk off with Sakura, giving the area around them one more quick glance before following after him. Sasuke arrived at the training fields on the other side of the village. He had taken a lot of evasive paths just in case any of his two teammates had managed to follow him without him catching on. He was walking around the training fields close to the nearby forest, and then he felt a presence. He knew it was Kakashi, although he didn't know if he was getting good at finding him or he was making himself obvious. He quickly turned around, somehow hoping to catch his sensei off guard, but as soon as he did, he found his lips locked to him as he was pushed up against a tree. The kiss felt hungry and wild, as if Kakashi hadn't had it for a long time, and in honest truth, he hadn't, but it had been plaguing him ever since it happened, and the dreams that had accompanied it weren't helping either. He felt Sasuke's body relax under his continued assault as he replied just in kind and once, and wrapping his arms around Kakashi's neck, with Kakashi wrapping his arms around Sasuke's waist. After a long time showering each other in kisses, Kakashi pulled back, eliciting a whine from the Uchiha, but he didn't let go of him, and neither did Sasuke. They were both panting loudly, trying to catch their breaths as Sasuke leaned forward into the crook of Kakashi's neck and shoulder and breathlessly asked, "So now what?" Kakashi hadn't thought the far went, which was a surprise to him, as he always planned ahead far into the future and had only come to talk to Sasuke about what had happened between them last time, but couldn't resist as soon as he had seen Sasuke again. He slowly Sasuke to rub small circles into Sasuke's upper back with one arm while the other remained secure around his waist, pressing their bodies tight together. "That what I was going to ask you?" he said, rubbing his cheek against the top of Sasuke's head. Sasuke just let out a small laugh into Kakashi's neck, which sent shivers through his whole body, causing him to pull him in a little tighter. He could tell Sasuke noticed, because he could feel the grin on his face and the side of his neck. "And here I thought you were supposed to be the sensei?" The white-haired Jonin let out a small chuckle, to which Sasuke responded with his own, "While that may be true, this is also new ground for me." "I know it is. It's also for me too," Sasuke said, finally looking up to meet Kakashi's eye. It was already getting dark as the sun was already setting. Time seemed to go by so fast for the two of them. "Listen, I don't know what this is, but," Kakashi's didn't get to finish as Sasuke put a finger to his lips before pulling him down for a quick beck. "But you don't want to stop it." Kakashi looked away in shame. "But you're my student, and what? You don't want something for yourself because of how the village would think?" Sasuke started to pull away, but Kakashi brought him back tighter. Sasuke looked up at Kakashi, who was still facing off to the side, and slowly turned his head to face him. "Listen, I don't know what this is and it scares me too, but I'm an Uchiha and no coward," he said with some wavering in his voice that Kakashi caught. "How long are we going to let this village continue to take for us?" Kakashi caught onto how Sasuke refers to them as us and the slight tightening in his hands. Sasuke was about to keep explaining, but was cut off by Kakashi. "Let's see how this goes then. Just go with the flow," he said with a rare smile on his face. They both wanted to have more answers on what was happening between them, but they both knew neither of them would have them, so this was good enough for now. "Home then?" Sasuke asked with a small smile of his own. "Home then." They reluctantly let go of each other and turned to start walking home. They both knew they could run there, but chose to take their time. Halfway home, Sasuke abruptly stopped, grabbing Kakashi's hand, causing him to immediately turn around, his other hand hovering over his kunai. "What's wrong?" he asked quietly, looking around for any threats. "Nothing. I just wanted to ask," he started, and Kakashi relaxed a bit after seeing it wasn't a threat, but then saw that Sasuke was, however, still nervous. "What did you want to ask?" he asked confusedly. Sasuke mumbled something under his breath that Kakashi didn't catch. What was that? Sasuke took a deep breath but mumbled again, luckily this time a bit louder. I was gonna ask, can you carry me on your back? Kakashi looked confused because Sasuke didn't look tired or hurt. Or is this payback for last week? He asked. Sasuke nodded quickly. Yeah, last week, you still owe me for that. Kakashi could tell that it wasn't the reason but decided not to press further. Fine, hop on, he said, turning around. Sasuke felt his nerves on edge but proceeded anyway and quickly got onto Kakashi's back. This wasn't the first time that Kakashi had carried him even on his back, but it felt different now in a way he still couldn't explain, and as Kakashi arms wrapped around his thighs to steady him, he felt his pulse and quickly dug his head into the crook of Kakashi's neck. It felt different for Kakashi as well. After he started to continue their journey, he could feel Sasuke's warmth on his neck, which was overloading his senses, and he couldn't keep himself from subtly squeezing and running his thumb over Sasuke's thighs. The Uchiha made no move to stop him, so he just continued all the way home. They got home and Kakashi saw Sasuke make no move to get off his back, so he continued until he was standing outside the door to his room, and still Sasuke made no move to leave, so he entered the room, walked to the bed before dropping off the Uchiha. Sasuke sat on the bed scratching the back of his head nervously, looking everywhere around except at Kakashi. He heard the heavy flak jacket be put down and ruffle of clothes and risked a glance. Standing before him was Kakashi, shirtless, holding his shirt in one hand with some light combat pants on his bare feet, looking right at him. His breath hitched, but he could see Kakashi looking him up and down. I'm getting ready to sleep, he stated before chucking his shirt into Sasuke's hands and walked to the other side of the bed and got in but turned his head to look at Sasuke with his eyes closed. Sasuke got up and took off his shoes, then went to take off his pants but immediately stopped. He remembered that he wasn't wearing his boxers anymore and the stuff he was wearing had been from the bag that Kakashi had brought him. They made maintaining and being more comfortable in this form easier. Did this old bastard know this? He asked himself, glancing back to see Kakashi with his eye closed looking in the other direction. He was desperately trying to get a grasp on what he was supposed to do. Was he supposed to just stay and strip her in this new form in front of Kakashi? But then he remembered back to their kiss the week before, the nosebleed that Kakashi had let out, and a devious smirk appeared on his face as he turned around. Not this time, old man. He looked at Kakashi, the smug smile not leaving his face. Hey Kakashi, I know you're looking, so just stop faking it. Kakashi's eyes slowly opened and he looked out the corner of it to Sasuke standing on the other side of the bed. I don't mind if you watch, Sasuke said that in a voice more seductive than he had planned but pushed through. He wanted to see Kakashi squirm. Kakashi's eyes widened but now were fully locked on Sasuke, and the Uchiha decided to push on his advantage. In his head, he was trying to dredge up all the stuff he had seen from the magazines the Dobe had brought once in a while and some of what he had read in the novel he brought Kakashi, which was a task in itself. There was stuff in the book that he wasn't ready for, but some of the other things he could do, plus he had seen how the Dobe had used his to lure people and even him at one point. So he slowly slid off his shorts, revealing more and more of his legs, and all the while never breaking eye contact with Kakashi, who never seemed to break eye contact once, but his eye only seemed to get wider. Sasuke's smirk became nervous a bit as he saw Kakashi's eye wander further down, and he could guess where he was looking. He was wearing a lacy blue set of panties that Kakashi probably thought he wouldn't wear after he got them as mostly a joke. Sasuke had started wearing them because they were more comfortable after he had got to training with Miko in his boxers and the chafing, which he wasn't a fan of at all. He finished taking them off and stood there as Kakashi racked his body with his eyes. Sasuke knew he had him hooked, so he went for the killer blow and slowly removed his shirt before chucking at the size. The audible gasp that Kakashi let out from under his mask was all the confirmation he needed that his plan had worked. The Dobe had tried to be more hands-on with his form, but thankfully Sakura had been there to keep him in check, or Sasuke swore to Kami he would have killed him. He was wearing a lacy blue sports bra to complete the set and looked over himself before settling back to Kakashi. That bravery of his was on unsteady legs still, and slowly looked around trying to hide his nervousness for something to wear, and of course, there was Kakashi's shirt that he had just taken off. With a huff, he took it, putting it on far more quickly than he had taken his clothes off. The long sleeves shirt was large even on Kakashi, but this was made more evident by the way it reached Sasuke's mid-thighs. The Uchiha quickly scampered into bed nonchalantly and quickly threw the blanket over his and turned his back to Kakashi in the bed. He had won, right? Succeed, leaving a stunned Kakashi. The silence echoed in the room till Sasuke slowly drifted off to sleep, and he guessed Kakashi had too by the shift of weight in the bed. Sasuke opened his eyes. It was dark, but he stood on an illuminated path with many roots that stretched endlessly into the unknown beyond his sight. "Quite nice, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. His body couldn't turn around even as he tried, but he could sense whoever or whatever was behind him was a monster. "Getting lost on the road of life is rather enjoyable, isn't it? But it's chaotic and not balanced, as all things should be." He could feel the hairs on the back of his neck standing up at attention as his senses were going crazy, telling with all their instincts to run, but he couldn't no matter how hard he tried. The voice got close with each of its steps, echoing into the darkness like a giant builder. "You have potential, you know, but what is your goal? All vengeance. How? Pathetic, because I have a much grander vision in mind for you, but one that won't come into fruition for a long time." The voice whispered into the side of his ear, sending shivers down his whole body, and a cold sweat started to overcome him. "In this world where there is light, there are shadows," the voice all but whispered into Sasuke's ear, and he managed to look out of the corner of his eyes. He suddenly wished he hadn't, because what met him were glowing red eyes. Sharingan? He thought back to Ichi's, but at least those held some sympathy. He hated to admit, but these were just evil. Sasuke felt cold as they continued looking at him as if the darkness was sucking him in, but all of a sudden he started to feel warm again. It was as if a blanket had been pulled over him and he felt safer and warm, but those eyes never broke their gaze on him. He took a deep breath, one that felt like the first one he had taken, which was probably true to some extent. He could feel that those evil eyes were no longer looking at him but glancing ahead of him, so he turned to see what was in front of them that was so interesting. Circular visions were hovering in the distance, each showing what appeared to be events happening with them. The first showed him much older, fighting his friends back in his male form, and him killing Naruto, which sent a shiver down his spine. But what shocked him most was Kakashi piercing through his chest with his lightning blade, tears pouring out of his eyes as he held him after tightly against his chest. No, what is this?" he asked to seemingly nobody. The next showed Konoha destroyed as he stood atop the Hokage statues, but then the vision got closer to the destruction and he could see the number of people that had been wiped out and a lone little boy crying for his parents in the rumble. "No, I would never let anyone else go through that." The figure, which was all but a shadow, looked at him as if saying with its glowing red eyes, "Are you sure about that?" Another vision in sight was there, him and the Dobe looking much older, with what looked like thousands of ninja fighting against a figure he couldn't see properly. "They never get my good side, do they?" The shadow with Sharingan eyes said, glancing over its shoulder to Sasuke. "So that's you, huh?" he asked, but he could already tell by its gloating that it was indeed it. He was about to berate the voice till he heard children laughing and what sounded like Kakashi laughing. Sasuke knew that laugh anywhere, so he looked closely, and the image that was vivid and smoky, In it there was Kakashi, but he was holding 3 kids, one on his hip, another sitting on his shoulders, and the third holding his hand walking beside him. "Wait for me you 4, otherwise I ain't going to cook anything for you today." The 4 abruptly stopped and turned around, and another figure came to view carrying a sleeping child on its back, a figure that vaguely resembled his mother a lot. Like him right now. The gears started turning in his head, and then he saw it on the shoulder of the clothing the woman was wearing, an Uchiha clan mark. "No, I can apostrophe T. I can't jump to conclusions." "Really Mom, I was telling them to slow down, but Mikoto kept running around the entire time wanting Dad to chase her." Sasuke froze because that couldn't be right. "Mom? Dad?" He began breathing heavily and his vision waning. Well, looks like you have some choices to make. I'll be watching," the shadow said before fading into the darkness. His vision was waning, fading in and out, but he wanted to see that one that had caught his attention the most. He saw the family spending time together fishing, him reading with one of the kids, visiting a graveyard, what looked like a birthday party with even the dubby there. The final image that he saw as he faded into darkness was the smile on his face as he rested against Kakashi under a tree in the old training fields with their kids surrounding them. He woke up gasping, taking in deep breaths. His mind was not yet settled and his eyes were frantically looking around. He felt someone's skin on his fingertips and the warmth that was now familiar that he had felt before. "Nightmares I'm guessing," a voice said, and he could barely hear it as his breathing began to settle. "I get those too sometimes." "Kakashi," Sasuke pushed out of an embrace, sitting up and looking around the room and settling his eyes on the Ambu mask that seemed to be looking down at the bed. Kakashi slowly sat up, keeping his eye on Sasuke. "I saw the Sharingan." The Uchiha started, his gaze still far off in the distance as if he was looking at something beyond. Normally those eyes belong to a cheat, but these one apostrophe s. These ones were different. More vicious. Sasuke knew about Kakashi's Sharingan after having seen it when they fought Zabuza alone after his pupil fled. He had been shocked back then to see someone who wasn't an Uchiha yield that eye, and he had not asked Kakashi about it, with both of them seemingly ignoring the topic. "What did the eyes look like?" Kakashi asked, his expression blank, which Sasuke knew meant he was taking this seriously. "They 3 same circles all making a big one, and they were somehow surrounded by darkness." Sasuke looked at Kakashi and saw that his face was deep in thought and just thought, why not ask another question right now? Would you ever kill me?" he asked, facing down in the bed, not wanting to glance into Kakashi's eyes, either not wanting to see the answer or to hear it. "Why would I kill you?" Kakashi asked, confused. "Just answer the question, would you ever kill me? Would you ever kill your comrade?" Kakashi froze, staring at Sasuke's shocked expression, suppressing so many emotions beneath it. I. He was trying to get the words out, but they only seemed to catch in his throat as his mind kept throwing visions of Rin. A silent laugh came from the Uchiha, that sounded sad if not labored. "You don't need to answer, I know you would do anything this village asked you." It was quiet for a while, too long for the both of them, so Kakashi got up and started putting on his gear. "I'll go train for a bit, we have a mission soon," he said before disappearing in a cloud of smoke, leaving a baffled Sasuke. After the crazy morning he had with Kakashi, Sasuke was walking around the village with Miko and her team, as they were given a patrol mission and he really just wanted to kill some time. "Miss Sasuke?" they asked him as he was in Kakashi's Jonin gear and wearing the headband he had got from him before. "What?" They wavered a bit, but Karen stepped forward next to him as they began walking by the forest. "Are you okay? You just seem upset." Karen wavered a bit, thinking he might have crossed a line, but was met with Sasuke blank face. "I'm quite alright, just had a lot of thinking to do today." That seemed like a good enough excuse till he heard a voice that sounded as if on his ears. Are you fine really? He whirled around, kunai at the ready, and could see no one there, but he had felt as if there was someone waiting behind him. Then he felt it before he saw it and jumped backwards, pushing back Maiko and the other Jinins that were looking confusedly at him. A kunai hit where he had been standing, and the Jinins immediately grasped that they could be under attack and started drawing their weapons back to back, looking around. They were close enough to the village that they did not expect an attack, because that would mean someone got past many more teams to get here. So they waited for what seemed like hours but was only a few agonizing minutes, but no attack came. Sasuke then redirected his eyes to the kunai, and he could see a scroll tied to it. Ended. If it was a bomb it would have probably blown up a while ago, he reasoned with himself, but just to be sure, he quickly scanned it using his Sharingan. It looked normal, so he quickly shut his eyes off and slowly started approaching it. Miss Sasuke, wait. There could be a bomb in TH, but he cut Takehiro off. I checked it. Looks fine. Maiko just stared at him amazed, but he didn't show them that he had used Sharingan. He grasped the kunai and ripped the scroll off as he was about to put it away to go give it to Kakashi. He saw his name on it for me, so he proceeded to open it. Do you seek the power to be able to have your vengeance? The path that you're on now, you'll never achieve it. You are too weak, too compassionate. No matter how much strong you think you are, to defeat Itachi requires more power than your current road can give. All I ask is that you wait a while here so that we can talk. No matter how this was worded, Sasuke knew this had to be a trap, but the temptation of finally having enough power to kill Itachi was too great for him. I'll just stay and see if someone is messing with me or if it's actually possible. He turned to the four waiting Genin. Miss Sasuke, what is it? Maiko hesitantly asked. It's nothing, Maiko. You and the others go on ahead. I have some business to take care of here. They looked like they wanted to protest, but the cold expression on his face left no room for questions. Now he said lowly and dangerously. The group quickly scampered off, and as they were running away, Maiko glanced over her shoulder and saw Sasuke looking out into the forest with almost a snarl on his face. Was there someone there? She didn't want us interfering. She would have told us if something was wrong. I need to tell Kakashi. Once he was sure that the four Genins had hurried off and not circled back around, Sasuke let out a scoff and activated his eyes. Come out, he said, not even showing the slightest bit of worry. A Sharingan at your age. Impressive, a voice said as the bushes parted, revealing a man or woman with white skin, and behind him, he was dragging two bodies on either side. Two Jonin. This person unceremoniously dropped them on the floor, making a move shake the dirt off his hands. The others are back there, but I wanted to speak with you. Sasuke was barely holding it behind his stone-cold facade. Maybe it was a bad idea to stay here. You seem so attached to those kids. From what my people have told me, that I thought it would be bad if I killed them to keep them silent. The figure looked at him and took his silence as to continue. Well, my name is Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sennin. And I bring to you a deal. And what is that? Orochimaru only smiled. The power that you seek to defeat Itachi, of course, he said so casually as he stretched his neck, and Sasuke caught a glimpse of his. Told, what the hell is he? I've heard about you, and you say I can defeat Itachi with the power you grant me? He only got a nod in reply. So what's the cost? Because I'm not as ignorant as my Genins. A small smile graced Orochimaru's face. He said, making Sasuke catch his breath. I get your body because you see I have a lot of plans for the future, and mine is almost at its peak, but I believe I can go further with a new vessel. Sasuke could not believe himself, but he was seriously contemplating it. Will I get my revenge? Was the only thing he asked after a few moments of silence, and Orochimaru only gave him a nod. If you wanted my body, why wait so long? That was something that bothers him, but he wanted to know. Well, you were and still are under the protection of the third, and I still haven't found a way to defeat him and we're yet to activate your Sharingan. So I didn't know if you were worth my time." That caused Sasuke's eyes to narrow because no one was supposed to know about his Sharingan and Kakashi had offered to train him in the months since, but he had refused. Maybe note that would change. "Before you ask? Those villagers gave you up rather easily. Well, as easily as they could is out little talk," he said, and Sasuke knew it had probably been anything but civil. Orochimaru turned to leave but glanced over Sasuke one more time. "You will know when the time comes and then make your choice. Love the new look by the way," he said with his snake-like tongue tasting the air whilst he walked into the shadows and Sasuke could no longer see him. Sasuke could start to feel pain in his hands and look down at his hands wrapped so tightly that he was white-knuckled. He let out a shuddering breath before his knees buckled, voiced him to kneel and turned off his eyes. His heart was hammering so loudly that he could hear it. "Sasuke." There was a blur and the next thing he knew he was off his feet in the air, moving away from the tree line and closer to the village. He knew who was carrying him, trying to get as much distance as possible from the meeting place he had been with Orochimaru moments ago. Kakashi. He could see his sensei, both eyes ready with that calculated coldness he had for combat. They got a few buildings distance away before he stopped and did another scan at the tree line. He had Sasuke held tight in his arms and looked down at him, quickly scanning with his eyes before asking with a deep sigh, "Are you okay?" Sasuke had been asked this too many times today and just flicked at Kakashi's chin but didn't struggle to get out of his arms. "And hello to you too. Where did you go, Miss Sasuke?" the four Jonin's screamed as they finally caught up with Kakashi. "I thought I told you to stay back," said Kakashi with a hint of annoyance which only earned him another chin flick from Sasuke. "We wanted to make sure that she was okay," said Karen, with all of them still struggling to catch their breath. The Yakai lightly tapped Kakashi's chest, signaling for him to put him down. And after an exchange of glares and Kakashi squeezing a bit tighter, he eventually relented and put him down. As soon as Sasuke's feet touched the ground, he was jumped by the four Jonins, with Miko leading the pack. "We're so glad you're okay, Miss Sasuke." Miko started between choked sobs and hiccups that she was desperately trying to hold back. She was hugging
We were just
Sasuke
walking
the
back
tightest
with
with
the
Kakashi,
others
and
following
then he
closely.
just started running really fast. "So we thought something might have happened to you," said Karen with teary eyes. Takehiro and Aishido were just hugging him, also in silence, tightly shutting their eyes. Sasuke was about to fight to get out of the massive group hug till he felt another from behind him encompassing him tightly. He felt Kakashi's chin on his shoulder and just stopped struggling to get out and relaxed. "I'm glad you're okay." After an extended period of hugs, they hesitantly broke off, with Sasuke ruffling the Jonin's hair like Kakashi had done to him so many times. Kakashi suggested the Jonins head home as he notified Samanbu that he called in the area. It was a few hours later, after the village Jonin and Danbu had done a full sweep of the village and it being put on full alert, that the two finally managed to get home. "Well, there goes my lazy day," Kakashi said as he threw his flak on the floor and kicked off his shoes whilst walking to the kitchen. Throughout the rest of the day since that ordeal in the morning, Kakashi had not gotten a moment alone with Sasuke since he told the third that he had sensed Orochimaru and caught a glimpse of him as he left. The Hokage had been thrown into a panic and was frantically checking on Sasuke even after everything that had happened, or the medical shinobi checked on him. They either chose to avoid or didn't make mention of why he was using a henji, even if the third was the only one who could see through it. The matter of Orochimaru visiting the village had been hidden from the public, and a cover story had been put in place as to why the patrol had suddenly increased and why a lockdown had been enforced so suddenly. So Kakashi started. So Sasuke replied, "What the hell happened?" Kakashi asked, rummaging through the fridge. He normally wasn't messy, but the presence of such an enemy was nerve-wracking, to say the least. He would know since he had chased after Orochimaru back when he was in the Anbu and the man had tried to steal his body because of the promise he showed. Kakashi could already hazard a guess as to why Orochimaru wanted to speak with Sasuke, but he wanted to hear it for himself. That old man just came out of nowhere. I sensed him and told the others to run. There was a slam on the countertop bringing Sasuke to a stop. And you didn't run? Kakashi asked coldly, but Sasuke just snapped back angry now. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I was giving my comrades a chance to escape. You ever thought about that? There was no way he could retort to his own teachings about helping teammates and saving others. Shinabi, from what he heard from Miko and the others after Sasuke didn't act indifferent as they left. So what did he want? Someone like him never strays this close to the village, he asked while staring at Sasuke, and the look meant for questioning looked however accusatory. He just wanted to see me. He's lying. Kakashi got up, walking towards Sasuke. Was that all he wanted? Again those words seemed to attack the Uchiha. What else do you think he might have wanted? He glared at Kakashi, trying to tempt him to take the bait so he could twist this little disagreement of theirs in his favor. But his sensei didn't. Kakashi just looked at him, and with the one eye was showing, his expression dropped slightly as if disappointed. You know you can tell me, right? Sasuke was now snarling a bit. Is it you asking or the leaf? The question hung in the air for a few moments before Kakashi answered. It's me asking, as your sensei. And as your comrade. That seemed to be the answer that was needed as Sasuke let out a deep sigh. He just gave me some new info on Ichi, close enough to the truth but not entirely true. What about Ichi? Kakashi quickly asked before seeing the glare on Sasuke's face. Okay, maybe tomorrow we can talk about that when cooler heads prevail. Kakashi started walking past Sasuke and was immediately grabbed by the wrist, bringing him to a stop. Don't turn around, he said, his voice a little bit shaky. I prefer no one seeing my face like this. Sasuke hand loosely let go of Kakashi's, but he immediately felt Kakashi slide into his own, lacing their fingers together. Thank Kami I read all those novels. Would you ever kill your comrade if you had to? Sasuke asked again, the same question he had brought in the morning and never got an answer for. He knew there was more to those dreams than what met his eyes. Those weren't dreams but premonition, and right now he didn't know which path he was on. Kakashi was having his own mental struggle with how to answer that. I had to before, he said, his fingers tightening over Sasuke's own. Sasuke didn't know this. Who did Kakashi have to kill? And why? Why? Kakashi let out a tired sigh. Because the village was in danger and countless lives, so I had a choice to make. The vision of the leaf destroyed as Sasuke stands atop the Hokage monuments comes back to mind in Sasuke's head. The one of Kakashi killing him is there as well, but also very murky but equally as frightening. Would he kill me for the leaf? He wanted to pull away from his hand, but Kakashi's grip was firm and unyielding. But it still haunts me to this day, because someone I promised to protect. Kakashi couldn't finish that sentence because across in the room Kakashi was now staring at a picture of the smiling face of Rin. Sasuke glanced over his shoulder and followed his eyes to the picture he was looking at, to the picture of his team, and stiffened. Obito gave me this eye as another way that I could protect her and never let one of my teammates die again. And I failed. Sasuke recognized the name. There was a cousin Obito, but he died a long time ago if his memory served him correct, since they were so many in the clan. He heard her, so that meant that she was the one he killed. Sasuke could feel a slight shake come from Kakashi's arm, and he reached both of his to steady it. Kakashi let out a small chuckle. That Orochimaru too forced me to take out some of my comrades that had started following his wording, but with Rin it was different. She was innocent. Sasuke turned Kakashi around with their fingers interlaced. So you asked me why I never took vengeance. Because at the end of the day. It's only me I want to seek revenge against. That was how Kakashi became so widely known even in the Anbu, fighting every mission wanting to die, and the urge to not give in like his father did always pushed him to take unnecessary risks. The missions he would sometimes take were suicidal, but he always seemed to come back, mangled and ready to go again. Sasuke reached his hand up to Kakashi's cheek, something that he always his mother doing to calm people down. His father's approach and calming people down were never successful from what he could remember. He stroked Kakashi's left cheek and was pleased when Kakashi closed his eye and leaned into the touch. "It's okay to not have all the answers sometimes," Sasuke said, not knowing whether he was just talking about Kakashi or himself as well. "Who's supposed to be the sensei here?" Kakashi said with a small laugh, his eyes closed, leaning into Sasuke's hand. The Uchiha had a smirk at the comment and lightly pinched Kakashi's cheek, earning him and out, then slowly pulled down the mask. "You could only wish you were as good a sensei as me. I mean, did you see Maiko and Teika today?" he said, unaware of the small smile on his face. He completely pulled down Kakashi's mask as he slowly opened his eyes, pulling him closer till their bodies were flush against one another. You never gave me an answer," Sasuke said as their noses brushed against each other and Kakashi looked at him in the eyes. "I'll make sure you never had to be in such a situation, but if that doesn't convince you, how about this?" he said, pressing a light kiss to Sasuke's lips. It was small yet ever so blissful. "And where did you learn that?" Sasuke said with a smirk. He knew Kakashi was just as awkward as he was, so there was no way he was this smooth. "Oh, it was in that novel you got me at the end." "Danny thinks that." Sasuke pressed a finger against his lips and graced him with a smile before leaning back in for another kiss.